You know her capture will only provoke Magneto, but having her does give us some diplomatic leverage.
On principle, I can't negotiate with these people.
I thought that's why you appointed me, sir.
Yes, it is.
But that's not why you called me here.
No, this is. It's what she stole from the FDA.
Dear Lord. Is it viable?
We believe it is.
You realize the level of impact this will have on the mutant community?
Yes, I do. That's precisely why we need some of your diplomacy now.
When an individual acquires great power, the use or misuse of that power is everything. Will it be for the greater good, or will it be used for personal or for destructive ends? Now, this is a question we must all ask ourselves. Why? Because we are mutants. For psychics, this presents a particular problem. When is it acceptable to use our power, and when do we cross that invisible line that turns us into tyrants over our fellow man?
Hey?
Aurora! Charles!
I love what you've done with your hair.
You too. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice.
Henry, you are always welcome here. You're a part of this place.
I have news.
Is it Eric?
No, though we have been making some progress on that front. Mystique was recently apprehended.
Who's the furball?
Hank McCoy, Secretary of Mutant Affairs.
Right, the secretary. Nice suit.
Henry, this is Logan. He's
Wolverine. I hear you're quite an animal.
Look who's talking.
There's no difference at all. Your mind is what there is. Everything. But the only way to find that out is to persist in the state of delusion as hard as possible. That's one way. I didn't say the only way, but it is one way. So almost all spiritual disciplines, meditations, prayers, etc., are ways of persisting in folly. Doing resolutely and consistently what you're doing already. So if a person believes that the earth is flat, you can't talk him out of that. He knows it's flat. You go out of the window and see it. Obviously it looks flat. So the only way to convince him that it isn't is to say, well, let's go and find the edge. Now there is another possibility, however. But this is more difficult to describe.
You know Magneto's gonna come get Mystique, right?
Magneto's not the problem. At least not our most pressing one. A major pharmaceutical company has developed a mutant antibody. A way to suppress the mutant X gene.
Suppress?
Permanently. They're calling it a cure.
You can't cure being a mutant.
Well, scientifically speaking.
Since when did we become a disease? How can anybody in their right...
They're announcing it now.
These so-called mutants are people, just like us. Their affliction is nothing more than a disease, a corruption of healthy cellular activity. But I stand here today to tell you that there's hope. And this site, once the world's most famous prison, will now be the source of freedom for all mutants who choose it. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present the answer to mutation. Finally, we have a cure.
That's the great discovery. You see? We're really unimportant after all.
Is it cowardice to save oneself from persecution? Not all of us can fit in so easily. You don't shed on the furniture.
Well, for all we know, the government helped cook this up.
I can assure you the government had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, well, I've heard that before.
My boy, I have been fighting for mutant rights since before you had claws.
Did he just call me boy?
Is it true? They can cure us?
They don't understand. They don't know what it means to be a mutant. We need to show them, educate them, let them know that we're here to stay. People, you must listen. They won't take us seriously.
They want to exterminate us.
This cure is voluntary. Nobody's talking about extermination.
No one ever talks about it. They just do it. And you go on with your lives, ignoring the signs all around you. And then one day, when the air is still and the night has fallen, they come for you.
Excuse me.
It's only then you realize what you're talking about organizing and committees. The extermination has already begun. Make no mistake, my brothers. They will draw first blood. They will force their cure upon us. The only question is, will you join my brotherhood and fight? Or wait for the inevitable genocide? Who will you stand with, the humans or us?
There's jazz going on.
And as a result, Jean developed a dual personality. Well, the conscious Jean, whose powers were always in her control, and the dormant side. A personality that in our sessions came to call itself the Phoenix. Purely instinctual creature, all desire and joy and rage.
There's no difference at all. Your mind is what there is. Everything. But the only way to find that out is to persist in the state of delusion as hard as possible. That's one way. I don't say the only way, but it is one way. So almost all spiritual disciplines, meditations, prayers, etc., are ways of persisting in folly. Doing resolutely and consistently what you're doing already. So if a person believes that the earth is flat, you can't talk him out of that. He knows it's flat. You go out of the window and see it. Obviously it looks flat. So the only way to convince him that it isn't is to say, well, let's go and find the edge. Now, there is another possibility, however. But this is more difficult to describe.
She knew all this? It's unclear how much she knew. Far more critical is whether the woman in front of us is the Jean Grey we know, a phoenix furiously struggling to be free.
Pretty peaceful to me.
Because I'm keeping her that way. I'm trying to restore the psychic blocks and cage the beast again.
What have you done to her?
Logan, you have to understand.
You're talking about a person's mind here, about Jean.
She has to be controlled.
Control. You know, sometimes when you cage the beast gets angry.
You have no idea. You have no idea of what she is capable.
No, Professor. I had no idea what you were capable of.
I had a terrible choice to make. I chose the lesser of two evils.
Well, sounds to me like Jean had no choice at all.
That's the great discovery. You see? We're really unimportant after all.
History will be made here today. For the first time, the so-called mutant cure will be available to the public. Now, reaction has run the gamut with mutants on both sides of the line. Some are desperate for this cure, while others are offended by the very idea of it. CEO.
You think resigning is going to make a difference? That's no way to influence policy.
Policy is being made without me, Mr. President. The decision to turn the cure into a weapon was made without me. What happened on that convoy was inexcusable. But your actions...
Hank, that was an isolated incident. You have to understand. Those mutants were a real threat.
Have you even begun to think what a slippery slope you're on?
I have. And I worry about how democracy survives when one man can move cities with his mind.
As do I.
Makes me insane. She does. You're looking at me sick. What's the matter with you? Slap down. Hands up. Jean?
We once believed that they were wiped out by years of conflict with a much more advanced branch of humanity called Cro-Magnon man. But recent research into our own DNA suggests that these two species may have interbred, evolving into modern humans. In other words, into what? Us. Right. Artie. Not here. once believed that they were wiped out by years of conflict with the much more advanced branch of humanity called Cro-Magnon. But recent research into our own DNA suggests that these two species may have interbred, evolving into modern humans. In other words, into what? Us. Right. Artie. Not here.
I wasn't really sure how to say this, but ever since Liberty Island, you've been different.
My telepathy's been off lately. I can't seem to focus. I can hear everything.
Jane, it's not just your telepathy. A month ago, you had to concentrate just to levitate a book or a chair across the room. Now, when you have a nightmare, the entire bedroom shakes.
My dreams are getting worse. Scott. I keep feeling something terrible is about to happen.
It would only hurt his goal of mutant prosperity.
You mean superiority?
You're right. If Eric had his way.
And of course, you know how the government will respond. They'll reintroduce the Registration Act.
Or worse. The president could declare a state of emergency. Place every mutant in the country under arrest.
Do you think the assassin was working alone?
Oh, we'll only know that if we find him before the authorities do. I've been trying to track him using Cerebro, but his movements are inexplicably erratic.
Mr. Strange. Stephen, please. And you are? Wow. Just one? Like Adele?
The Book of the Invisible Sun. Astronomia Nova. Codex Imperium. Key of Solomon.
You cannot stop this, Mr. Doctor. Look, I don't even know what this is. It's the end and the beginning. The many becoming the few, becoming the one.
Look, if you're not going to start making sense, I'm just going to have to put this thing back on.
Tell me, Mr. Doctor.
All right, look, my name is Dr. Stephen Strange.
You are a doctor?
Yeah.
Scientist. You understand the laws of nature. All things age. All things die. Stop this, Mr. Doctor.
Look, I don't even know what this is.
It's the end and the beginning. The many becoming the few, becoming the one.
Or Aristotle. Drake. Bono.
Book of the Invisible Sun. Astronomia Nova. Codex Imperium. Key of Solomon.
Stephen.
Wong. What do you want, Strange?
Books on astral projection.
You're not ready for that.
Try me, Beyonce.